I still remember the moment Maria walked through the door, glowing like she had just returned from a honeymoon instead of a week-long girls' cruise. She looked different. Not just the usual post-vacation relaxation. No, this was something else. Her tan was a little too perfect, her smile a little too bright, her energy almost electric. I should have been happy to see her. I missed her like crazy. But something in my gut twisted the moment she pulled me into a hug. It wasn't that she smelled different. She still had that soft vanilla scent I loved. It wasn't the way she held me. Tight, but brief, like she was eager to move on to something else. No, it was something deeper. Something I couldn't put my finger on just yet. "Evan, babe, you won't believe it," she practically squealed, setting her suitcase down and pulling out a small velvet box. "I won a raffle on the ship. Look at this." She flipped open the box, and my stomach tightened. Nestled inside was a diamond bracelet that looked way too expensive for a cruise giveaway. "Wow," I said, forcing a smile. "That's, one hell of a prize." "I know, right?" She slipped it onto her wrist, admiring it under the kitchen light. "I never win anything. It was just pure luck." Pure luck. I've been married to Maria for 8 years. I know when she's lying. She was buzzing with excitement, talking a mile a minute about the cruise. The parties, the fancy dinners, the friends she made. But she barely looked me in the eye. Every time I tried to steer the conversation toward anything real. "Did you miss me? How was the trip really?" She deflected. Instead, she filled the gaps with too many details about random things. How the buffet had the best lobster she'd ever eaten. How her friend Jessica got seasick and spent half the trip in bed. How the dance performances on board were just amazing. I leaned against the counter watching her, waiting for something that made sense. A cruise ship raffle handing out jewelry that looked like it belonged in a Tiffany's case? That wasn't adding up. And then there was the way she avoided her phone. Maria was always glued to her screen, texting her friends, scrolling through Instagram. But now, she had set it face down on the table like it was radioactive. Later that night, as she unpacked, I sat on the bed, casually scrolling through my own phone. "So," I said, keeping my voice light, "did you meet anyone interesting?" She paused just for a split second. "Oh yeah, a bunch of people. Everyone was super friendly." "Anyone in particular?" She laughed. "What is this, an interrogation?" "Nah," I shrugged. "Just curious." She turned, giving me that playful smile she used when she wanted to shut a conversation down. "Babe, I was with the girls the whole time. It was just so much fun. Maybe I was overthinking it. Maybe I was just being a paranoid husband whose wife had gone off and had a great time without him. But something about that bracelet, that damn bracelet, made my skin crawl. And I wasn't letting this go." I didn't bring up the bracelet again that night, but it sat in the back of my mind like a splinter. Maria was acting normal, too normal, like she was overcompensating. She was extra affectionate, extra chatty, extra everything. And she kept throwing little distractions my way. "Hey, Evan, I was thinking we should do a weekend getaway soon. Just the two of us. When was the last time we had a proper date night? Let's plan something fun. I'm just so happy to be home, babe. I missed you so much." Every time I even thought about pressing her for details, she kissed me or started talking about something random. Classic diversion tactics. And then there was her phone. It never left her side. Normally, she was the type to leave it charging in the kitchen overnight. But that night it was on her nightstand, face down, right next to her. I caught her glancing at it once or twice, but the second I shifted in bed, she'd pretend like she was just staring into space. I didn't sleep well. The next morning, Maria woke up before me. Unusual for her, since she usually slept in on weekends. I heard her moving around in the kitchen, and when I walked in, she was on her phone, speaking in hushed tones. As soon as she saw me, she flinched. "Oh, morning, babe," she said, way too cheerful. "Just talking to Jessica about the cruise. She's already planning another one for next year. Can you believe that?" She didn't even let me ask a question before she walked over, kissed my cheek, and put her phone away. Not on the counter, not on the table, away. Why did she have to hide it? I tried to ignore it. I really did. but the pit in my stomach just kept growing. I spent most of that Saturday pretending everything was fine. Maria went about her day as if nothing was off, doing laundry, checking emails, running errands. But I was watching. The way she was suddenly so careful about her phone. The way she hesitated before answering my questions. The way she got weirdly defensive when I casually asked if she took any pictures on the trip. Oh my God, Evan, yes, obviously, but they're mostly just group pics. It was so dark at the events, and I didn't want to be that person taking 1,000 photos. Maria lived for taking pictures. That's when I knew. Something was definitely wrong. That afternoon, Maria went out to grab groceries. The second she left, I went straight to her jewelry box. The bracelet was still there, nestled in its little velvet case. It didn't look cheap. I snapped a quick picture and grabbed my laptop. If she had actually won it in a raffle, then there had to be some record of it, right? Cruise line promotions, past winners, something. After 30 minutes of searching, nothing. I even checked the website for the cruise she went on. The only raffle prizes they advertised were things like spa credits, drink packages, and free excursions.
No, Yueli.
Okay, deep breath. There had to be another explanation. Maybe she bought it herself. Maybe she did win it, but it just wasn't listed online. Maybe, then I did something I'm not proud of. I checked our bank account, and there it was. A $2,800 charge from a high-end jewelry store. Not from the cruise. Not a raffle. Purchase. I just sat there, staring at the screen, heart pounding. Maria didn't wear expensive jewelry often. The only times she ever bought something pricey were for big occasions. Our anniversary, birthdays, or gifts for family. But she had been gone for a week, and the only person she could have bought jewelry for was herself. Unless she wasn't the one who bought it. Or worse, she was, but not for herself. I needed to calm down. I needed to make sure I wasn't spiraling over nothing. So I called the only person who'd give it to me straight. My best friend, Jordan. Dude, I said as soon as he picked up. I think Maria's lying to me. Jordan was silent for a moment. Then, I'm listening. I explained everything, the weird behavior, the bracelet, the bank charge. Man, he sighed. Look, I don't want to be that guy, but this isn't looking great. I know, I admitted, rubbing my forehead. Here's what I think, he continued. You gotta play it cool. If she did do something, she's probably on edge. You push too hard, she's just gonna double down on the lies. You need more proof. He was right. I wasn't just gonna accuse Maria without hard evidence. But I also wasn't gonna sit around while she kept lying to my face. That night, I made my first move. When Maria was in the shower, I grabbed her phone. Locked. She had never locked me out of her phone before. We knew each other's passcodes. But now, it was like she built a wall between us. That was all the proof I needed. Something was going on. And I was gonna find out exactly what it was. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, my mind kept running in circles. The bracelet, the locked phone, the way Maria had flinched when I walked in on her call. I wasn't stupid. Something was going on. But if I accused her too soon, I'd just end up with more lies. I needed to be patient. Maria was acting like she had nothing to hide, so I played along. The next morning, I got up early, made coffee like I always did, and acted normal. When she came into the kitchen, wearing one of my old t-shirts, looking soft and sleepy, it almost made me doubt myself. Almost. She wrapped her arms around me from behind. You made my favorite, she murmured against my shoulder. I forced a chuckle. Of course. Gotta take care of my girl. She pulled away and grabbed her phone off the counter, quickly unlocking it. I noticed something then. She had switched her passcode. Just yesterday I couldn't get in. Now, she typed in a new code like it was second nature. She felt me watching. What? She asked, smiling like nothing was wrong. I shrugged. Nothing. Just thinking about how much I missed you. The guilt flickered across her face for half a second before she covered it with a bright smile. I missed you too, babe. So much. She kissed me, slow and sweet, but there was something off. Felt like a performance. I kissed her back anyway. I needed to keep her comfortable, keep her talking, keep watching, because sooner or later she was going to slip. That afternoon, while Maria was out running errands, I decided to do something I never thought I'd have to do. I called the jewelry store. A woman answered. "Thank you for calling Leclerc Jewelers. How can I help you?" I hesitated. What was I even supposed to say? Ooh, yeah, My wife was on a cruise last week, and she mentioned winning a bracelet in a raffle. I just wanted to confirm it was from your store. There was a pause. Sir, we don't participate in cruise raffles. My stomach dropped. Are you sure? Positive. We don't donate jewelry for giveaways. I gripped the edge of the counter. Okay, maybe she bought it then. Do you have a purchase under the name Maria Carter? I'm sorry, sir. We can't disclose customer information. That wasn't a no. I forced a polite laugh. I totally get it. I just wanted to make sure she got the right size. She said she bought it last week, probably around Thursday. The woman hesitated. One moment, please. My pulse pounded in my ears. A minute later, she came back on the line. I can't give you specifics, but yes, there was a purchase under that name last Thursday. The same day Maria had texted me that she was too exhausted to talk after a long day at the pool. I swallowed hard. Was she alone? Sir, I really can't. Please, I said, lowering my voice. I just need to know. A longer pause. Then quietly, no, she wasn't alone. I ended the call without another word. Maria came home an hour later, carrying bags from Target and Whole Foods like she hadn't just spent our money in a high-end jewelry store with someone else. Hey babe, she called as she walked in. I got everything for dinner tonight, and I picked up that snack mix you love. I looked at her, really looked at her, and all I could think was, who are you? She was setting bags down when her phone buzzed on the counter. And for the first time in 2 days she didn't rush to grab it. Because she was watching me, watching to see if I would react. I forced myself to stay relaxed, to keep my expression neutral. She glanced at the screen and quickly turned it over. Spam calls. I swear they never stop. Liar. I turned back to my coffee, pretending I hadn't noticed. Yeah, I get those all the time. That night I made another move. I didn't go for her phone. I knew she was being careful with it now. Instead, I grabbed her laptop while she was in the shower. She never logged out of her email. She wasn't expecting me to look. I typed in her name and searched her inbox. First, it was nothing. Just cruise confirmations, work emails, random junk. But then I saw it. An email from the cruise entertainment director. Subject, looking forward to our next adventure, winking face. I clicked on it, and suddenly everything made sense. The bracelet, the secrecy, the phone calls, the lies. Maria hadn't just had a fling on that cruise. She had been targeted. And the man she was involved with? He wasn't just some random guy. He was a professional, a scam artist, and she had just walked straight into his trap. I sat there, staring at the email, my hands clenched so tight my knuckles went white. Looking forward to our next adventure, winking face. I scrolled down. It was a thread. Maria had replied. Me too. I can't stop thinking about last week. Felt like a dream. And the bracelet. Every time I look at it, I think of you. I miss you already. Can't wait until next time. Red heart. My stomach turned. This wasn't just a one-time mistake. This wasn't a drunken lapse in judgment. Maria had fallen for him. And the worst part? She was still talking to him. I kept scrolling, skimming through their messages. The guy's name was Luca. No last name. Just Luca. She had met him on the cruise. He was one of the ship's entertainers, a dancer from what I gathered. Their first messages were flirty, playful. But as I read further, it became clear. Luca wasn't just some guy she'd hooked up with. He was playing her. He kept the conversation light, always making her feel special, complimenting her, telling her how amazing she was, how he had never met someone like her before. And Maria? She was eating it up. She talked about her life, our marriage, how she had felt lost before meeting him. She told him things she never even told me. Then I saw it. Another email from him sent just yesterday. I miss you, beautiful. I have something special planned for us. But I need a little help, just a small loan. $5,000 should do it. I promise I'll pay you back as soon as I get my next gig. You're the only one I trust with this. Say yes? For me? Red heart. Alone. My breath caught in my throat. I went back to our bank statements. My hands shook as I checked the transactions. And there it was. A $5,000 wire transfer. From Maria. To him. I slammed the laptop shut just as Maria stepped out of the bathroom, wrapped in a towel. She was humming to herself, her skin still damp, her hair twisted up in a messy bun. She looked at me and smiled. Hey, babe. I couldn't speak. My head was spinning. I wanted to scream, to demand answers, to ask her why. But I didn't. Not yet. I needed to see how far this would go. The next morning, Maria left for a work brunch. I waited 5 minutes, then grabbed my keys and followed her. I kept my distance as she pulled into a little cafe downtown. She parked, checked her reflection in the mirror, and grabbed her phone. Then I watched as she sat down at a corner table and waited. Her phone was in her hand, and every couple of minutes, she glanced at the entrance, like she was expecting someone. 20 minutes passed. Then her phone buzzed. She read the message, sighed, and typed something back. I needed to see. I needed to know what he was saying. So I made a move. I pulled out my own phone and called her. From across the cafe window, I watched her frown at the screen before answering. Hey, she said, trying to sound normal. Hey, I replied, forcing myself to keep my voice steady. Where are you? She hesitated. Just grabbing some coffee before heading to work. What's up? I clenched my jaw. Just wanted to hear your voice. Her eyes softened, and for a second, I almost forgot everything. Almost. Ah, she cooed. That's sweet. I miss you already. Liar. I watched as her phone buzzed again. She glanced at it quickly, but not quickly enough. She was anxious. She wasn't meeting a friend. She was waiting for a reply. That night, I checked her phone while she slept. She had deleted most of her messages with Luca, but she forgot about her email. Another one had come in. I hate that we have to hide this, but soon we won't have to. Just be patient, beautiful. And if you can help me out one more time, I promise I'll make it up to you. We'll be together just like we talked about. I just need $10,000 more. Can you do that for me? Red heart. $10,000. This guy was bleeding her dry, and she was falling for it. I looked at Maria, peacefully asleep beside me. The woman I had loved for 8 years. The woman I thought I knew. She wasn't just cheating. She was being played. And if I didn't act fast, she was going to lose everything. I barely slept. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, Maria's soft breathing beside me, knowing that in her mind, she wasn't just lying next to her husband. She was waiting for another message from him. Luca. A man who had no last name, no real identity, no history. Just a smooth voice, a perfect smile, and a talent for making women like Maria believe in a fantasy. And now he had his hooks in her. $5,000 down. He wanted 10 more. The worst part? She was going to send it. I knew Maria. She was too deep in this. She was convinced this was love. That meant I had to act fast. So I made a plan. The next morning, Maria got up early. She was humming to herself in the kitchen, flipping pancakes like we were in some kind of sitcom. Sleep okay? She asked, flashing me a bright, innocent smile. I wanted to laugh. I wanted to ask her how she could lie to my face so easily. Instead, I smiled back. Yeah, best sleep I've had in a while. She leaned over and kissed me. Good. You've seemed so stressed lately. Oh, I wonder why. I let it slide. Because while she was pretending everything was normal, I was already 10 steps ahead. Maria left for work at 9 o'clock. By 9:05, I was on her laptop again. I opened her email and waited. I knew she was going to reply to Luca, and sure enough, 5 minutes later, the little notification popped up. Of course, baby. Anything for you. I'll send it later today. Red heart. I stared at the screen. This was so much worse than I thought. Maria wasn't just caught in some sleazy affair. She was in love with this guy. She was ready to drain our savings for him. But not today, because I had already logged into our bank account that morning, and I had already blocked her from making any transfers. She had no idea yet, but she was about to find out. At noon, I got the first clue that Maria had hit the wall. A text. "Hey, babe. Weird thing, our bank is having some kind of issue. I tried to send money earlier and it wouldn't go through. Can you check it out for me?" I smirked. There it is. I let the message sit for a while. I wanted her to sweat. Then, I replied, "That's weird. I'll take a look later." She responded too quickly. "Thanks, babe. It's no rush. Just let me know when it's fixed. Love you." She was panicking. She wasn't used to obstacles. She thought she was just going to waltz into our account, send another 10 grand to her fantasy man, and keep lying to my face. Not anymore, because now, I was in control. That night, Maria was tense. She didn't mention the money again, but I could tell she was itching to ask. She kept looking at me like she was waiting for me to say something. I didn't. I wanted her to make the first move. And finally, just before bed, she did. "Hey babe," she said, forcing a casual tone. "Did you ever check on that bank issue?" I acted like I had totally forgotten. "Oh yeah," I said, stretching like I wasn't about to rip her world apart. Turns out there was some suspicious activity on the account. The bank flagged it. Her face froze. Suspicious. Yeah. Some weird wire transfers to an overseas account. I had to lock everything down until we figure it out. I watched her sweat. Her mouth opened, then closed. She forced a small laugh. "Oh, that's weird." I shrugged. "Bank said it looked like a scam. They're investigating." Checkmate. Maria's hand twitched against her leg. She was trying so hard to act normal. She failed. "Right?" she said, voice too high-pitched. "Well, hopefully they fix it soon." I smiled. "Yeah, don't worry, babe. I'll take care of it." And then I kissed her goodnight, and I watched her squirm. Because she knew. She wasn't just caught between me and Luca anymore. She was caught between two men who were both playing her. One was trying to scam her. The other was about to destroy them both. Maria barely slept that night. She tossed and turned, sighing every few minutes like she was waiting for me to magically fix the bank issue, so she could send Luca his next paycheck for ruining our marriage. Me? I slept just fine. Because for the first time in days, I wasn't the fool in this situation. She was. The next morning, Maria was up early. I heard her pacing in the bathroom, whispering on her phone. She thought I was asleep. I wasn't. I listened carefully, catching bits and pieces. "No, I don't know what happened. He said the bank flagged it. I don't know, Luca." Silence. Then her voice dropped lower. "Please just wait. Okay? I'll fix this. I promise." I turned over in bed, making a little noise. Maria immediately shut up. When she walked out of the bathroom, she forced a smile. "Morning, babe." I stretched, yawning. "Morning. You okay?" "Yeah, just work stuff. You know how it is." Liar. She hurried downstairs before I could ask anything else. I checked my phone. Maria hadn't sent Luca any money last night. I had made sure of that. So now Luca was getting impatient. And if there's one thing I knew about con artists, they don't like waiting. Maria left for work in a rush, her phone clutched tight in her hand. I gave her one last gift. A long, slow kiss before she walked out the door. She looked rattled. Good. As soon as she was gone, I called Jordan. "Tell me you have something," I said the second he picked up. Jordan had been digging into Luca for the past 2 days. And this morning, he finally had results. "Dude," he said, sounding almost impressed. "Your wife's boy toy is a professional." He sent me a file. I opened it. Luca wasn't even his real name. His full name was Lucas Moretti, a known scam artist. He had been doing this for years. Luxury cruise ships. Wealthy, lonely women. The pattern was the same every time. Meet them during their vacation. Love bomb them with attention. Make them feel special. Then, start asking for money. I scrolled down, my stomach churning. He had at least 6 other women sending him money in the last year alone. One of them lost her entire savings. This wasn't just some sleazy affair anymore. This was a goddamn crime. Maria was about to ruin our lives over a man who probably didn't even remember what color her eyes were. And worst of all, she was still falling for it. By noon, Maria texted me, "Hey babe, any update on the bank stuff?" I smiled. She was desperate. I waited an hour, then replied, "Still locked down. The fraud department is looking into everything." Her response came too fast. "Oh, that's weird. Did they say how long it'll take?" I took my time. Then, "They need to review the flagged transactions. Could take a few days." Maria didn't respond right away. But when she did, it nearly made me laugh out loud. "Oh, no problem. Just let me know when it's fixed. Love you. Red heart." She was panicking, because Luca was waiting, and now she had no way to pay him. I wondered what he was going to do next. I didn't have to wait long. That evening, Maria came home, acting way too normal. She kissed me, asked about my day, even suggested we open a bottle of wine. She was laying it on thick. "By the way," she said casually, "I need to stop by the bank tomorrow morning, just to, make sure my card is working." I took a sip of wine. "Good idea," I said smoothly. "Want me to come with you?" Her smile froze for half a second. Then she laughed. "Oh, no, it's fine. I'm sure it's just a quick thing." I nodded. "All right, let me know what they say." She gulped down her wine. She knew I was onto her. But I wasn't done yet. That night, while Maria was asleep, I checked her laptop one last time. And that's when I saw it. A new email. From Luca. "I don't like being ignored, baby. You promised me. If you don't send the money soon, we're going to have a problem. No more hearts. No more sweet words. Just a threat." I leaned back, exhaling slowly. Maria had no idea what kind of man she was dealing with. But I did. And I wasn't about to let him take another cent from us. I grabbed my phone, and I called Luca. The phone rang twice before he picked up. "Luca speaking." A smooth, confident voice answered. I didn't say anything at first. I just let the silence stretch, letting him feel the weight of it. Then finally I spoke. "You really should be more careful about who you scam." Silence. Then the slightest chuckle. "Excuse me?" he said, like I was some random idiot wasting his time. I smiled. "You heard me. I know who you are. I know what you do. And I know exactly what you're trying to pull with my wife." A pause. Then the act dropped just a little. "Ah," he said. "So you must be Evan." "That's right. Maria never mentioned you were such a detective," he mused. "Impressive. But tell me, Evan, what do you think you're going to do about this?" I leaned forward, gripping the phone tight. "Oh, buddy, you have no idea what's coming for you." He laughed, like I was some joke to him. "I have nothing to hide," he said smoothly. "Maria and I have a special connection. She came to me, Evan. I didn't force her. She chose me." I clenched my jaw. This guy was good. "You're a parasite," I said, "and you have exactly one chance to walk away before I burn your entire operation to the ground." Another chuckle. "And what exactly are you threatening me with, Evan? You think you're the first jealous husband to come after me?" "No," I said, "but I'll be the last." Then I played my trump card. "I know about the other women, Luca, the ones you scammed before. And guess what? I've got evidence. Names. Transactions. A trail of victims who are all about to come knocking at your door." Silence. I had his attention now. "You're bluffing," he said. But there was a new edge to his voice. "You sure?" I asked. "Because here's the thing about con artists, they always slip up eventually. And you? You left a nice little digital footprint. My friend Jordan, he's been real busy these past few days. I've got your real name, your past scams, your whole history. And when I'm done with you, you're not just losing Maria's money. You're losing everything." I let that sink in. Then I went for the kill. "Maria's done sending you money. And if you so much as text her again, I'll make sure you regret it." Luca stayed silent for a long time. Then finally he spoke. "You're making a mistake," he said, his voice ice cold. "Yeah," I said. "We'll see." And then I hung up. The next morning, Maria was nervous as hell. She kept checking her phone, waiting for a message that wasn't coming. By noon, she cracked. She walked into the living room, biting her lip. "Babe, can we talk?" I leaned back in my chair, crossing my arms. "Sure. What's up?" She hesitated. I feel bad about the money stuff. I was thinking maybe we could go to the bank together today." There it was. She wanted me to fix the problem. She wanted me to unlock the accounts so she could send Luca his money. I just smiled. "Maria," I said, keeping my voice calm. "Tell me the truth." She blinked. What do you mean?" "You know exactly what I mean." She swallowed hard. "Evan, I called him," I said. Her whole body locked up. What?" I nodded. "Yeah. Your little vacation boyfriend? We had a nice chat last night." Maria turned white. Why you don't understand?" "No, Maria," I said, my voice hard now. "I understand perfectly. I understand that while I was sitting at home, loving you, you were throwing our money at a goddamn con artist who was playing you like a fiddle." Her breath hitched. I thought You thought he loved you?" I scoffed. "Maria, wake up. He was using you. He's been doing this for years. He never cared about you. He cared about your wallet." She shook her head, her eyes welling up. "I didn't mean for this to happen. But it did." I cut in. "And you lied to me. Over and over again. You looked me in the eye, and you lied." She crumbled. Tears streamed down her face. "Evan, please. I was stupid. I made a mistake. I felt lost. I didn't mean to hurt you." I watched her break down. And for the first time, I didn't feel sad. I felt free. Because Maria had already made her choice. And now, it was time for me to make mine. Maria was sobbing. Tears streaming down her face, hands shaking, voice breaking as she begged for forgiveness. But I didn't feel anything. No sympathy. No sadness. Just cold, hard clarity. Because this wasn't about love. This was about betrayal. "You don't get to cry, Maria," I said, my voice calm. "Not after what you did." She wiped her face, sniffing. "Evan, I know I messed up, but please, I need you to understand." I held up a hand. "Enough. You spent our money on a con artist," I said. "You lied. Over and over. You had chance after chance to come clean, and you didn't. You only care now because you got caught." Maria flinched. For a moment, she was silent. Then, quietly, she said, "Do you still love me?" I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was insane that she could even ask me that. "Love you," I repeated. "Maria, I don't even know you." She gasped softly, her whole body trembling. "Evan, please." I stood up. "I'm done." Her breath hitched. What?" I walked to the table, picked up a folder, and dropped it in front of her. "Divorce papers," I said. "Already drawn up. All you have to do is sign." Maria's face crumpled. "Evan, please." "No," I said, firm. "You don't get to beg. You don't get to act like this is some tragic mistake. You made a choice, Maria. Now live with it." She collapsed onto the couch, sobbing. I didn't care. I grabbed my keys, my bag, and headed for the door. And right before I walked out, I turned back. "Oh, and by the way," I said, smirking, "Luca, he's not gonna text you again." Maria's head snapped up. What do you mean?" I smiled. "Let's just say, I made sure he got a little visit from some old friends of mine," I said. Her eyes widened. "Evan, what did you do?" I winked. "You'll never hear from him again." And with that, I walked out the door, leaving her in the mess she created. 1 year later, I never looked back. Maria tried calling. She sent messages, begging to talk, saying she had changed. I ignored every single one. The divorce went through fast. Turns out, when you drain thousands of dollars on a scam artist, you don't have much to fight with in court. Maria, She lost the house, moved into a tiny apartment. From what I heard, she tried reaching out to Luca, but funny thing, Luca disappeared. Turns out, when you scam the wrong people, you don't just get a slap on the wrist. Jordan helped me make sure of that. As for me, I got my life back, and it felt damn good. Because at the end of the day, cheaters always lose. And I always win.